healing. Okay. And now I take only a few elements from the Igal ritual, which is aligned in mirroring the 10 elements of high value culture and the 6 main pillars of the Malaysia Madani. And the first element of Igal ritual data is the concept of tulah that I just tell you just now. So the form of the pattern not doing bad things, and then it is mirroring the principle in the Darken 21, which is spiritual aspect that emphasizes awareness. So spiritual aspect is the kind of healing of Igal ritual is related to the spirituality, because they have to call the ancestors, the spiritual being, to come into the earth and get involved in the performance to heal the patient. So it is very spiritual. And also the beauty in terms of aesthetic. It is a performing art, it is an art form, so there is a beauty. So the beauty is that when the patient can be healed. So that is the highest aesthetic in the art. And it is promote the concept of the principle of believing in the Malaysia Madani, a belief closely related to the trust, a pledge of moral responsibility in the world and thereafter. Something that has to do with the metaphysics. And then the second element is the kalamat. Kalamat is the shaman, or in Malay we call it bomo. So kalamat plays a role in society as traditional healer, ceremonial leader, mediator, healer, teacher, and reference expert. So this is aligned in mirroring the principle of honesty, loyalty, and virtue in the Darken National Cultural Policy. So kalamat has to be honest. So it teaches us, so it's mirroring that honesty is very important as an individual, and sincere shouldering her responsibility and have a straight heart. And then he has to be loyal as well, steadfast, trustworthy, and obedient, and also virtuous. Because her role reveals the subtlety, order, and sincerity of discretion and a character and common sense, which form the basis of community relationship and promote the trust of courtesy, respect, and creativity in the Malaysia Madani. So courtesy attitude, kalamat always concerned and compassionate, and also has the potential for creativity when performing the Igal ritual theatre. Beautiful work of art inspired by creation of performance orchestrated by eternal being, because that is a relationship with the supernatural being. And then the third element is the offerings. Offering is very important, provided the food, drinks, clothes, and other equipment from the environment where Igal ritual theatre practitioners live for their spiritual entity. So it's mirroring the principle of cleanliness and respect in the Darken 21. So cleanliness refers to the pure practice and well-maintained, beautiful, organized, and systematic environment that creates a harmonious and calm atmosphere. And cleanliness, from a deeper perspective, is related to a clean soul, integrity, and the practice of good values. These values are essential in ensuring the occurrence on and efficiency of the healing process. And it promotes the principle of respect in Malaysia Madani, which carries the connotation of human dignity seeded by manners. Then the next element is Bimetri. Sorry, Prof.
No, it's okay.
Okay, you can use manual. Just press, cannot. Sorry, Prof.
Okay.
Take minute, okay.
Right.
So, the next element is the audience. Also plays a vital role in the healing process. Igal is also known as communal healing, because the community also plays an important role for the healing purposes. And which means that healing occurs with the involvement of all community members. We call it bahasa Melayu gotong royong, and it is very important to make sure that the healing process is achieved. And it's building the principle of consensus, kindness, and equality in the Darken 21. So consensus refers to the reaching decision, action, and joint responsibility between the kalamat, the patient, and the community. And the embodiment of these values express kindness, or in bahasa Melayu, budi, and which is about subtlety, order, and sincerity of his creation, as well as equality, refers to justice in balancing the socio-economic life of the community. And it's promote the principle of believing in Malaysia Madani, which is closely related to trust, a pledge of moral responsibility in the world and afterlife, because it is something to do with the spiritual entity and the metaphysic entity. And then the other element is spirituality plays a role in changing the social and cultural status of Iqbal ritual theatre. Then the healing aspect in Iqbal is also categorized as faith healing. When you believe in something, it can happen. So you must have faith. So it's mirroring the principle of spirituality and loyalty in the 1921, which demands loyalty, steadfastness, trust, and obedience, not contradicting and breaking instructions. So loyalty is not only focused on the friendship with fellow human beings, but loyalty is also undivided devotion. And it promotes the principle of integrity and believing in the Malaysia Madani, well-being emphasizes the balance of physical and metaphysical cosmos. And believing is closely related to trust and moral responsibility in the world and hereafter. And then there is the conclusion, and in the traditional context, Iqbal ritual theatre serves healing purposes and carries religious, educational, social interaction, and entertainment functions. So this is the summary. So there are 2, 4, 6 elements of Iqbal, which is mirroring the high value culture 1921. There are 10 principles and the 6 main pillars of Malaysia Madani. And the aim is improving the quality of life for the well-being of the community. So I conclude this with the dissemination of high value culture, which is reflected through several elements of Iqbal ritual theatre, and is in line with Dakin and desired in the concept of Malaysia Madani. So Iqbal ritual theatre serves healing purposes and carries religious, educational, social interaction, and entertainment functions. Indeed, all those functions reflect the 10 characteristics of high value culture in Dakin 21 and uphold the 6 main pillars of Malaysia Madani. The ultimate goal is to improve the quality of life for the community's well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question from the audience, please? No? All right. So first of all, thanks that you manage your time.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can. That's all.
Okay. So also, thank you for managing the time, and that was again very informative and interesting. I've been living in Malaysia for 10 years, and it was something that I just learned from you. All right, so just few things I wanted to check with you. Page number 3, you have list of your aim and objectives, right?
Yeah.
So the number 1 is identify the type of disease experienced by the patient. Number 2 is identify the cause of the disease. Isn't it very challenging, number 2?
It's a psychological problem. It has nothing to do with the physical.
Yeah, but how could they identify the cause? Is it still the same method, or is it going to be?
No, the method is very contradictory with the modern medicine or modern treatment. So it is the faith in the Kalamat, the patient, and the community. When they have faith, they believe that they will get cured and they will get cured. So it's about mental. When you believe in something, and it will happen. So to identify, the Kalamat or the shaman will get help from the spiritual being. That is why they have to give offering to the ancestors to come down to the performance and embody the Kalamat and the patient's body. And then actually not.
Yeah, I understand. All the purposes I can get it. Only number 2 is very challenging, so I just wanted to have a little bit more explanation. How do you do identify the cause of the disease? Because finding the cause is a little bit tough, right?
Yes. But I'm not a shaman, I'm not a kalaman, I'm just interviewing the informant. This is what I get from the informant. Once the informant believes, I also believe the informant because it is depend on the faith. So the shaman believes that she will get help from the supernatural being. I cannot see the supernatural being, but the kalamat can. So I just believe the kalamat, my informant, because the kalamat is very trustworthy.
All right.
So that is the main element.
Okay. So, for my opinion, when you were talking about, when you were presenting regarding this title, which is quite very, new for me, and I'm sure for many of the audiences and readers, when it comes to background of the study, I would recommend you to comment up explaining how many of the centers do you have in Malaysia, as some basic information regarding the current situation in Malaysia.
How many what, Prof? Okay. Performance?
How many of these healers do you have in Malaysia?
Yeah.
Are they registered?
There are a lot. That is why I'm doing this study, because the new generation is no longer interested in this kind of performance healing. So,
Healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that before, without asking me this kind of question, I would suggest you in your first slide to coming up with background of the study and explaining a little bit like more about this type of people that they're doing it. How many of them are they legal? Do they have certificates? Are they recognized by the government? Giving some more information regarding the current situation in Malaysia, at least, which is missing here. I would suggest you to add to your slide for your next presentation. One more thing is that I understand what you are doing is very challenging and very, very, very new. I guess you're the first one doing it in Malaysia, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so but still you have to follow some of the rules and regulation of writing academic paper and presenting academic presentation. Therefore, what I need is to have list of references.
Yeah.
There is no literature review, no citation. I know that this is something that you may have lack of sources, scientific sources with that, but still we need to know whether you could find some other citations, some other articles that you could refer and you could get some help.
Yeah.
You get my point, right?
Yes, I got. But there are
So whatever I'm saying, just take it as a comment for, to improve for your future studies.
Yes, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Well done. Thank you. So I guess we have two last presentation, right? Okay. So Nur Hidayah. Let me know if you're ready.
Yes, Prof.
Alright, so good luck, my dear. Your 10 minutes to start.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum to all. My paper is about legal matters. So today we will learn something about law from the perspective of Islamic family law. I'm representing on behalf of others Professor Tim Lindsay from Uni Melbourne, Dr. Zuliza from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and Dr. Aisyah from UiTM. Okay, the first slide, I would like to explain that from the background perspective, first we have to know what is child maintenance. Child maintenance refers to some education given by the father to cover the cost of his children, including their food, their accommodation, education, medication, as well as clothing. So normal procedure in court is after a couple divorce, the court will decide who will get the custody of the child. Once the decision has been made, the mother, usually the custodial parent, will apply for their maintenance from the father. What we have nowadays is problem statement whereby research found that the procedure, and there are also several other problems relating to child maintenance in Sharia court in Malaysia, especially about the difficult process, as well as the low amounts decided by the court, and also about the no standardization followed by the judges. Aim of this study is to review the practice in post-divorce child maintenance cases, and the objective, number one, to identify the approaches of the judges, and number two, to offer recommendation for reform. Another slide. Literature review. From Islamic perspective, we have to know that whatever instruction given is actually based on the Quranic verses, chapter 2, verse 233, when Allah says that clothing and maintenance of the child is borne on the father. And also based on the hadith of Hind, wife of Abu Sufyan, when he went to see Rasulullah and explained about the case whereby the husband refused, or the husband did not provide proper maintenance, and the Prophet said that khudi, take whatever you need and your children's need based on reasonable basis, which is bil ma'ruf. From the legislation perspective, Malaysia has provided a lot of sections to cover the child maintenance issue. Section 72 to Section 79 of the Islamic Family Law Act 1984 provide a lot of provisions to cover the issue related to child maintenance. However, we found that from the research made by Nur Aini 93 and as well as Mazna 99, the amount decided by the judges are relatively very low, amounted to 35 to 70 ringgit per month for a child. And another research in 2016 also found the same, which is around 100 to 150 per month. And Zaleha in 2007 found that mothers expressed dissatisfaction of a difficult process, and some of them refused to pursue for the claims, and instead they cover based on their own funds. And Bahia in 2020 also found out that amounts were inconsistent and judges used a lot of their discretionary power. Another slide. Methodology for this research is qualitative legal research, whereby the approach taken related is doctrinal and non-doctrinal approaches. And data were collected from primary and secondary sources, especially related to we call as statute, case decided by the court, as well as the literature from thesis or research made by previous scholars. Okay, another one is about the another one is about the statute. We have to recognize that in Malaysia we have 14 statutes relating to Islamic family law. And in our research, we only refer to Islamic Family Law Act established by the Parliament of Malaysia to cover Muslims in Wilayah Persekutuan or Federal Territory. We have to identify that in Malaysia, Sharia court is considered as state level, so every state has its own statute. All the data will be analyzed descriptively and thematically in order to cover and to reach the objective of the study. Okay, next slide. About the findings. From legislative analysis, we found that the law actually intends to protect the children by providing a lot of sections. For example, section 73 provide that the court can intervene, especially whenever the couple make a decision to divorce and there are several children involved. Another one, section 79, states that the age limit can be extended more than 18 if the child is pursuing for tertiary level, or if the child is not married, for the daughter or if the child is legally disabled, provided with the documentation. And another issue which is very interesting to highlight that Section 72 provides that two criteria should be considered by the judges, which is the father's needs and his station in life. From another perspective about the needs of the child, this research found that there are two different approaches taken by the judges. Number one, the first group will consider that maintenance for children to cover the needs of the child should be meant to cover only indispensable needs, which is called in Arabic daruriyat. So the basic need to cover the cost of their life, whereby the other group say that it should also include required needs, whatever can make the life more quality and more reasonable. So when the first group will consider in a very strict way and usually grant a low amount of maintenance. They will consider every item, and to the extent we can see that the judges will say that if this is not included under the definition of daruriyat, it will be excluded. However, the second group will consider more generously, usually grant a higher amount for the quality life of the children. Okay, next slide. About the provision, means and station in life, we found that there are some problems here, whereby cases review show that the court's approach is problematic, where there is no guidance about what is income and how to consider a person receive an income. By doing that, judges in most cases refer the income as monthly salary received from the employer. So in that kind of cases, the judges will consider the gross amount, and then will deduct everything, and until the end they will get the net amount, net salary as the basis before the judges make the decision for the amount decided for the child. The question here, the judges could not identify ways how to evaluate self-employed father, a businessman, a TikToker, for example, a YouTuber, whereby there is no employer. So, next slide. Next slide. No, maybe I have to be here. No. Previous slide. Okay, and then another issue we found that the burden placed on the mother as the plaintiff. We found that the mother must bring two types of proof. Number one, document showing the child's need. The mother will have to produce whatever receipt saying that the child needs this amount of money to pay this amount of fees, and she also needs to bring proof showing that the father can pay that amount claimed. This is quite problematic for the mother, especially relating the Data Protection Act, which disallow a person to ask for anybody's financial document without the court order. So by doing that, the mother has to apply for another extra order, which is called an order to ask for the dependent to produce their data. Or the mothers have to subpoena the father or anybody related to the document about the father's financial ability. Next slide. This is considered like discussion from cases. I would like to share Rohana and Muhammad Faisal, one of the cases in 2009, where the court said that an expensive brand is certainly not a valid choice, as other brands are cheaper and more reasonable. The main focus of the court is the indispensable needs of the child. This is one of the cases showing that judges will consider what are the basic needs of the child. So normally it will be considered if it is something wants or wish, it will be excluded. However, in Sarah versus Adam in 2018, the court has made a decision which is contrary to that particular approach, whereby the judge said the amount decided should include indispensable needs as well required needs, which could help the children to have a comfortable and good quality of life. Okay, next slide. In another case, which is Maria versus Hiti, this is also interesting, showing where the father was self-employed. He was an agent, an insurance agent. He ran a company with several staff. However, there is no employer above him, but the court still asked the plaintiff to produce the payslip issued by the employer of the husband. And then the court said, as plaintiff failed to prove defendant's financial capability, the court will rely on the oral defense of the father. In another case, Zashahana versus Nabil, which is quite current, 2020, the mother failed to obtain the payslip and brought two brothers as witnesses to support her claim. However, the court said the witnesses failed to convince the court of the defendant's financial ability because of that particular person or considered third party. And then it is difficult for the court to determine the defendant's ability because of he did not cooperate. So this becomes a problematic issue in Malaysia regarding the child maintenance issue. Another slide. The conclusion, the current practice creates difficulties not only for the mother as the plaintiff but as well for the benefit of the children as the subject matter of the provision. By right, the provisions are meant to protect the children, but the procedure is not supportive enough. Making the process longer and more costly, the mother has to engage lawyers to produce a lot of things and also not child-centric. The welfare of the children should be placed at the center of the law and practice. So we recommend that there should be reform by introducing binding guidelines to help judges to solve this issue. Next slide, which is the final slide. Reform. We would like to recommend that a clear definition of income. What is income and how to consider and what constitutes an income. Comprehensive procedure and method of assessing the child's need and the father's financial ability should be properly provided to help judges as well as the parties involved. Clear documents or proof to be presented by both parties. And also, we would like to recommend that clear steps to be taken against non-compliant fathers, especially if they did not provide any support or they did not show their cooperation, what would be the punishment. And this reform, it is hoped that this reform could assist children in having a better quality of life and prevent them from becoming victims of a difficult process. Thank you.
Thank you. So, any question from the audience?
Thank you, Doctor, for the presentation. I have two questions. Number one, you mentioned that there are 14 statutes altogether in Malaysia.
Yes.
And then in one of your analysis, there's you referred to several sections, right? So what sections do you refer to? Which statute do you refer to?
As I mentioned just now, we have 14 statutes based on states level, but one is considered Federal Territories Act, produced or established by the Parliament. So we refer to this as a representative for all the provisions given. All of them, they are quite similar in the provisions. The wording of the provisions are also similar, but the power to execute is at the state level. So it is not proper and not relevant for us to quote the whole lot. So we would like to choose only one to represent the whole. And we mentioned that Section 73 up to Section 79 of the IFLA, Islamic Family Law Act, as the representative. And it's also the same sections in all other 14 statutes.
Okay. My second question would be your methodology. You mentioned you employ doctrinal and non-doctrinal analysis, right? So in the non-doctrinal analysis, what methodology do you employ?
From legal perspective, non-doctrinal refers to whatever which is considered documentation, as well as if we conduct any interviews with judges or lawyers. However, in this paper we did not include the interview data, but we only refer to the